So some people with learning disabilities or autism can sometimes use behaviour which we might call challenging behaviour. People can shout, scream, hit people, hurt themselves, damage property. It's not always easy to know what kind of advice to give, and without it, behaviour can become established very quickly. This film will tell you a little bit about behaviours which challenge and why a child might use them, and what kind of advice to give early on.
When Michael was born, he was born with Rubinstein-Taybi syndrome, and he was diagnosed with autism when he was 5 or 6. And because he didn't have a good form of communication, he couldn't talk, so a lot of things he was relying on us to understand him.
The thing with Charlie, because of his understanding of things, it's really hard to make him understand what he's doing is wrong and explain it, and you can't tell him off.
He used to throw an awful lot of things, so you had to learn to duck very quickly. He would pick up, at one point he picked up the TV. That was fun.
Charlie is on medication. That can sometimes trigger challenging behaviour, because if we up the medication, it can then suddenly be like, well, why today can I not walk as easily? Why do I feel floppy?
So obviously I went and asked GP and health visitor and different people, what can we do about this? And they said basically terrible twos was always mentioned, but he was older than 2, so it was kind of, oh well, it might be part of his condition. And I'm thinking, well, no, there's more to it.
He gets frustrated with his sister because she likes to play with stuff that he plays with, and we have to watch carefully, because he is such a big boy, that he's gentle with her, because he would never mean to hurt her.
All behaviour happens for a reason, and challenging behaviour is no different. So challenging behaviour can either enable somebody to get what they want, or help somebody to avoid or escape something that they don't want. We know that there's 5 main reasons why somebody might present with behaviour which challenges. One is to get access to something that they like, for example, a toy or a drink or a preferred item. 2 is to avoid or escape something that they don't want to do. 3 is to gain social attention. 4 is to gain sensory stimulation, so that means that they like the feeling of the behaviour. And 5 is to get some relief from pain that they might be experiencing.
So positive behavioural support is a way of trying to understand the reason for the behaviour, and then trying to come up with some ideas around best ways to support the person.
So say Michael's banging his iPad because it's gone off or something. It's trying to give him another way. Look, instead of banging it when you might break it, shout for mum.
So by understanding behaviour, by using simple things like an ABC chart, we are trying to chart when a behaviour is likely to occur, what might trigger it, what might have happened before it, and what might be happening after it, which might be the thing that keeps the behaviour going. You can really empower carers to think about how they can do something differently.
When completing an ABC chart, it's important to define very clearly what the behaviour is, and then identify what was happening just before the behaviour, so that's the antecedents, and then identify what was happening after the behaviour and what the outcome was for the person, and that's the consequences. When we start to understand the reasons behind a behaviour, we can think about strategies. Some of these strategies might be changing what happens before a behaviour, so changing the antecedents, the environment before a behaviour occurs. And some of these might be about teaching the person new skills or new ways of getting their needs met. Providing advice when you don't understand the reasons behind a person's behaviour can be problematic. For example, advising a parent to simply ignore their child's behaviour which challenges could cause problems if that child's behaviour is because they want social attention. If you don't teach the child another way, they're likely to just continue with that behaviour.
As a prescriber, over the years historically, we've had very limited choices of controlling the situation where people present with challenging behaviour, other than to use powerful psychotropic medications such as antipsychotics. We didn't know about, or we didn't have awareness about alternatives particularly things like positive behavioural support, where we can actually begin to understand the function of behaviour and put plans in place to prevent it from escalating to becoming too challenging.
Behaviour is complex. It can be really difficult to work out a reason for somebody's behaviour, and we know that ABCs are just a starting point. Sometimes families will need a referral on to more specialist services who can then do more detailed assessment to really support that child and family.
And I think had we not done a lot of stuff that we've had to do along the way, his life wouldn't be this way at all, I don't think. And he's great, he's fab. He's fab.